Thanks for the opportunity to be here today. Really excited about being able to talk a little bit about how fun it is to work at Mattel. It's just party all day, playing with toys, no work. It's pretty simple, just as my colleague explained about the cosmetic business, which is really intensive, the same way we are in toys. It's just fun. So if anyone at some point want to work with us, you know, it's only play and having fun. So today I'm going to share with you something that I think is a beautiful story. And it's one leader, which is our current CEO, how armed only with ideas, how he was able to transform an 80-year-old company. Not only that, but then I will talk specifically what we did in supply chain to really provide the resources and the runway for them to really be able to transform. So to me, I share the same thing, being the strategic partner, which in quality is a challenge, but in every way in supply chain is always a challenge. We're talking only about cost and about quality and about some other things that we are very used to deliver. Being a business partner is key. So we will talk a little bit about what we're doing commercial and how we made the changes to fuel that in an immediate way so we can transform a company. And I think that is probably what we need to be very conscious. The more we work, as we explained, with our commercial partners, business school is key. Many of us are engineers. Myself, I have the same thing. I'm a mechanical and electrical engineer, and then I went to business school. And having that combination really helped you to speak and explain how things can work in a more, I wouldn't say easier, but more business-related way. So thanks, everyone. And let's start by talking about how we compete in consumer goods. Most of you are consumer goods, many of you are consumer goods. And I think it's really important to understand that there are basically two spectrums. You start in one side, competing on a commoditized offering. That commoditized offering, of course, has mainly identical features, and it's a low perceived value. And the only way you can compete is in pricing. The big issue with this one is that only one company can succeed, which is the lowest cost producer. And then you go all the way to the other side, which is a highly differentiated offering. That offering is sub-market, has unique features, and people are usually willing to pay for those specific features. You usually have higher margins, and your product is not replaceable by others. The main thing is, in few occasions, and that's what we're all trying to do, you can achieve the best and most differentiated brand and be at the same time with that volume the lowest cost producer. When you achieve that, those companies are able to work with very handsome margins. So that is why it's so important. You want to build both. You want to be cost leader, and at the same time, you want to have a differentiated offering so your margin can be as healthy as you possibly can. So today, two ideas. First, the Mattel playbook, that is how commercially we're trying to reinvent our brands. And that way, we will talk about one example, which is the one that probably you know best, is Barbie. But we will also go about what is happening, not next year, but in 2026 with many other brands and how we're following that footprint to really reinvent the company. The second one is how we made immediate changes in supply chain in a way that we can provide the resources to really fuel that change. So I think it's an interesting combination. My career is a little bit different than most. I have spent half of my life in commercial and be the head of a business, and half of my life in supply chain. So that truly engineering and business has been not only at school, but has been almost half and half of my life. So a little bit different to most of the supply chains head in the world. And we will talk a little bit more about. So I will talk two things. First, from the commercial side, let me give you a little bit of history. These guys are Ruth and Elliot Handler. They founded Mattel in 1945 in Los Angeles right after the war. They started, what you see here is their first Mattel creation shop in LA. And they were designers, mainly designers. Business people, of course, but they were designers. And these guys together, they designed the two most iconic brands that we have today. First, Barbie, which was Ruth, and then Elliot designed and launched Hot Wheels in 1968. So let me talk a little bit about what happened. After many years of work, from 45 to 59, they did many different toys. And finally, she came with the idea of having the first fashion doll in the history. There were no fashion dolls. People were not, or girls were not used to play with that particular toy. And what she did is two things. One, she had the model, and she also has the idea in partnership with Walt Disney to test a new idea, advertising toys in TV, which today we clearly know it works, but at that time, it was highly untested. So she did produce the first commercial for Barbie and launched in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse in 1959. In that year, also Barbie was presented at the Toy Fair and was an immediate success. So let me share with you the first commercial for Barbie from 1959.
Barbie, you're beautiful. You make me feel my Barbie doll is really real. Barbie's small and so petite. Her clothes and figure look so neat. Her dancing outfit rings the bell. At parties she will cast a spell. Purses, hats, and gloves galore. And all the gadgets gals adore.
Barbie dressed for swim and fun is only $3. Her lovely fashions range from $1 to $5. Look for Barbie wherever dolls are sold.
Someday I'm gonna be exactly like you. Till then I know just what I'll do. Barbie, beautiful Barbie. I'll make believe that I am you.
You can tell it's Mattel. It's swell.
This was the time with immediate success where the company really was propelled to the global leader in toys. And this woman not only started with a great toy, she has deep purpose. Her intention, as you can see here, is that through the doll, the little girl could be anything they want to be. This message of empowerment to women really resonated with the women at the time. It was the 60s. When people start to think about that breakthrough and that equality and that ability for not only women, but everyone to really achieve what they want. So immediate success, not only because of the innovation, but also because of the deep message. Of course, many things happened, years and decades of success, with Barbie representing the dreams and ambitions of many, many girls and mothers around the world. Because it was not only the girl, it was the mother approving this new way to think and making sure that girls understand that they have choices and they can be whatever they want to be. Of course, we were evolving with times. And in the 80s, we launched the first Barbie CEO, which today looks pretty much old, but at the time it was pretty revolutionary. So that was a really great thing at the time. And soon, Barbie was everywhere. But as time passed, really, the brand started losing some steam. And I think we were drawing away from our original message. So people didn't understand what we were standing for. And of course, it was losing steam. The question was, are we going to be able to propel Barbie to a new success? Or will it be just a toy that is less popular and less popular every year? And to do that, that's when the Mattel revolution started, and we started with what we call the Barbie revolution. What is the thing that we did to relaunch Barbie? And again, I said one leader with just armed with ideas came and do something very different to what we have done before. The first thing, we created a playbook. We didn't want to have something from one brand, but we want to have a methodology, and that is very similar. We talk about quality. It's very similar to what we do in supply chain. Which are the steps, which are the checklists, which are the processes that we need to follow to really make sure that we can have a better likelihood of success in the future? Brand purpose, clearly super important. Your brand needs to connect with the customer and the consumer through purpose. Consumer-centric innovation, everything is about the consumer. It's not about just the customer, it's about the consumer who will be making the choice at the end in the shelf or in the digital marketplaces. Cultural relevance need to be continually updated. And if that was important before, now things after 2 or 3 years look outdated. Now it's more important than ever. And of course, the franchise mindset, which for us means taking your toys and convert them in lifestyle brands so you can really expand into a variety of different consumer brands and consumer categories. First, with consumer purpose, let me show you this video.
Hello, my name is Gwyneth, and I'll be your professor today. And I will be talking about the brain.
Hi.
Hello, I'm your veterinarian today.
You're kidding.
Nope, I'm Dr. Brooklyn. See?
Okay, doctor.
Oh, here, let me see. Good morning, everyone. I'm your new coach. My name is Maddie. Nice to meet you. I had the most fantastic day in the office. You'll never believe what happened. We got that new business I wanted. You ever seen him fly?
Have you seen him what?
Fly?
No.
My cat can fly.
Okay.
The dog's brain can't think as much as the human's brain because there's no high school for the dog. This is Peter, the Triceratops. Peter is 1 year old. The T-Rex, Sally, is 1,002,252 years old. Knees up like a unicorn. Higher, higher. I've been to New York, Transylvania, Pennsylvania. We can think and do lots of stuff with our brain. Now, does anybody know how big the brain is? Anybody? Sophia. It is medium. Medium. Very good.
I heard some people laughing and smiling, and that is what the only thing that you need to do is to connect back to your purpose. It was the same purpose, and the message was updated in a more modern and probably more updated way, but it's still the same message and the same brand purpose. The only issue is that we lost that message throughout the decades, and we become more fashion, and we became more about things and about many other ways to play. The only thing we needed to do is back to the original message. People care about purpose. They don't care about your brand. They care about what they want to achieve. And I think this was an immediate game changer for the brand. And then with that, we thought about how that message can be shared with the rest of the people in a way that really had a complete franchise mindset. How do we take a toy and make those toys, and this is Barbie, but we will talk about the rest. How can we make this toy really be a lifestyle brand so we can export this same brand into many different other platforms in consumer goods? And let me show you what happened then.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Oh, hi, Alan.
Baby, you could find me under the lights, diamonds under my eyes. Turn the rhythm up, don't you wanna just come along for the ride? Oh, my outfit's so tight, you can see my heartbeat tonight. I can take the heat, baby, best believe that's the moment I shine. 'Cause every romance shakes and it bends, don't give a damn. When the night's here, I don't do tears, baby, no chance. I could dance, I could dance, I could dance. Watch me dance, dance the night away. My heart could be burning, but you won't see it on my face. Watch me dance, dance the night away. I'll still keep the party running, I wouldn't hear out of place. I don't play safe, don't you know about me? I could dance, I could dance, I could dance, dance the night.
Of course, instant success. What happened? Suddenly your brand is all across many and most of the consumer goods platform. People were lining up to license the brand and to launch them in different countries. What was the key thing? It was not about a new message. It's just about reconnecting to your original purpose. If your original purpose makes sense, then you would have success if you are able to connect with the consumer. That is true for every single brand. Fueling the franchise was the key to generate that additional revenue and that additional growth. And suddenly, You have things everywhere that can actually help you to get additional funds to really relaunch the rest of your brand. So this is basically what we were trying to do. And what we will have this year, in the same fashion as Barbie, there have been others, but just for 2026, first, Mattel Studios will be releasing the live action film in June 5th, which is Masters of the Universe. I don't know, some of you may remember He-Man. So we have that live action movie that was a big hit in the 80s. We're relaunching that property from Mattel. Let's see, we'll know in June 5th if it's a success or not. I play with that, so I'm pretty excited about it. And then in September, of this year, we will release the live action movie with John Cena on an Apple on September 2026. In addition, we have Mattel Television Studios. There are other 14 productions already in development, in addition to Barbie and these two movies. At the beginning, it was hard to start because it was not only a difficult thing to pull out, but also we have COVID. And then we have lack of production, and then we have a lot of inflation, and we have a lot of things that you all lived through that. So then we have also things like the writers' strike in LA, which also make this even more challenging. So at the end, we will have those two things. The Mattel Television Studios have more than 30 productions that are TV, not related to movies, for the different brands. And in addition, we are entering a new space. To us, the new space that would be, we believe, a great fit for our brands is the digital gaming. In terms of digital gaming, we have an acquisition this year, Mattel Studios 163, and we will be releasing 2 new games this year. So this is a little bit of how you try to reinvent a brand that is 80 years old. But at the beginning, we didn't have the resources. So the question is how the people that get the product into the shelf can really help to fuel this transformation. We, supply chain, we do about 859 million cars every year. We were talking about the 10 million cars a week. Yes, our largest factory does about 10 million cars a week, now a little more than that. This was a year ago. This year, maybe we'll have 960. So the brand's still healthy and growing. Hot Wheels clearly has been an engine of growth for the company. $68 million. That is not only Barbie, it's mainly Barbie, but there are many others, Monster High, and a lot of licenses, Disney Princess, and many other key brands that we have. And 119 million of other toys, including Fisher-Price, Thomas the Tank, and many other brands. Some of you know, some of those probably you didn't play with them at the time. But what makes an efficient supply chain? What makes effectiveness and efficiency in our supply chain? And let me read the definition because I like this definition in particular. It's a conscious, detailed selection of people, processes, and technology that create a specific system capability for ideation to reality. And the key words to me is not only ideation to reality, which is really important, is end-to-end, but also is a specific system capabilities. And let me try to illustrate. In general, we're pretty good at doing the silo and the functional design for every function. That is usually pretty good. And within a department, things work pretty good. The issue is not only how we design the whole system, but the other challenge is that in this particular country, the US is so large and so powerful that people tend to grow in their own silo. People can grow all the way we were talking just quality. People can grow in quality all the way to the head of quality, but they are not moving from one place to the other because the scale of the US is massive. That doesn't happen even in China. People move more around. So people are really true experts. I have never seen such a broad base of knowledge in each of the functions. However, what we sometimes fail to do is to connect specifically the customer-supplier relationship internally to really make sure that your system is able to deliver what you want to deliver. And in my mind, what you need to do, or we need to do, is really to set time apart, do the flow chart, do the entire process, and make sure that what you have in your paper, then you will have to convert that into reality, but in your paper will be enough or will be able and capable to deliver whatever you need to deliver in terms of business objectives. Many times, we don't have that. And to me, the most important piece when you connect is, one, make sure that the connections, the service level agreements, and the connection between one function and the other are very clear. That is, to me, the most important piece. In this, as I tell people, in this world of AI, my message today is go back to the basics. Before actually using smarter systems, we need to make sure that the basic connections are there and that people understand what I need to deliver to my next internal customer and what are the expectations that we have agreed so we can actually measure performance in an objective way. With that, you need to do the setup. And the setup are choices. And that's why we were talking about business school. It's not about supply chain choices, are corporate or business choices. And the business choices come, basically, there are many others, but basically 3 big outcomes of supply chain in terms of business results: the cost, inventory, and time to market. And those are, we tend to see them in different ways. We try to optimize the time to market, or we try to discuss about cost and reduce cost. And of course, there are things that we can do in isolation for each of those variables. But the bigger things that will mark your outcome are decided in your setup. And let me explain a little bit more. There are many, but let me explain about one example. Where are we gonna produce? In toys, we can produce in different places, in Asia or closer to the market. Our biggest market, of course, is the US, but when you combine that with Canada and Mexico, it's a sizable, and even LATAM, it's a pretty sizable percentage of the company business. So the first question that we need to ask, and it's not a question for supply chain, again, it's a question that you need to align with marketing, sales, the CFO, and maybe also the CEO, so we understand what we're deciding. Can we go faster? We want to be, in this world, we want to be really able to deliver product much faster than we used to do. Things expire in a shorter lead time, so we need to be faster. And the question is not about, can we do faster? Of course we can do faster. However, if I choose to produce in Mexico, it's going to be faster, the inventory is going to be lower, but the cost is going to be higher. And people need to understand that you will not have the same cost. And it's not my decision. I need to show the options so marketing and sales with finance can evaluate what is the best possible outcome for the business. And that will depend on the strategy what we're trying to follow. In Barbie, that we do things that are more consistent, or in Fisher Price, maybe it's not as important, but in the new licenses or in a movie launch, it's critical. So the question is, what are you going to produce where? Not only that, can we go even faster? Can we actually change our lines to really be reactive to the consumer demand in real time? Well, to do that, we would have to produce in the US. Is that possible? Absolutely possible, but would be super expensive. So the question is, still, it's an option. Do they want to do that or not? I don't know. It's not my choice. We can produce in the US, we can produce in Mexico, we can produce in Asia. It's up to the whole company to decide how we're going to set up. This is not the only levers. We have inventory levels. The size of production runs and the changeovers are other setups that are really important. Optimal production by site. How much you want to produce in each of the factories. How large can your factory be and still be efficient and manageable? The split between, we talked also the same thing, between O&O, owned and operated, and co-manufacturers. Really important, because the co-manufacturers, and we will talk a little bit more about that, are a great tool to turn your fixed cost into variable cost. Do I want to do everything? Of course not. So we will talk a little bit more about that. But your setup, reflow chart the whole thing. Really connect the dots from one place to the other. Do your service level agreement, and then do your setup. But again, that setup is not with you only. It's with the entire company, so we all are aligned. and then document, because we tend to forget. Now, what we did in our case, what we choose first, something that is usually counterintuitive. The first thing I decided is that we will increase meaningfully the level of inventory in the markets. That will require cash flow, but it automatically helped to increase our fill rate and to really start selling more. But that was not the intent. That was one of the consequences. That was a positive consequence. But this investment meant for me the ability to size our production in much larger runs. Instead of trying to react, it's totally different to what I did in P&G. P&G was a continuous manufacturing. Continuous manufacturing means that the detergent tower is producing, and then if we change the film from one size to the other, literally 2 minutes later, we were producing at the same rate. In this case, every product is more related to fashion. Even every Barbie case or every Hot Wheels presentation is different. Why? Because it's fashion. We do that on purpose. So it's a discrete manufacturing. Changing from one to the other has a long lead time. Sometimes even the automated machines, we need to dismantle half of the machine and change it to do the new packaging. Sometimes it takes hours. Not only that, it's a little bit of a science, but it's a little bit of an art. In the launch of new products, people need to learn. And people need to learn how to do the work more effectively and even balance the line, because there's some manual work. In that case, when people are learning, your efficiency go up slowly. So people are learning. You start doing and moving into, by efficiency, I mean units per hour, or by a certain period of time. You start growing, and if you change too fast, boom, you have time to do the changeover, and then you start raising your productivity again, and you move in before you get into the best productivity part of the curve. What you need to do in our own discrete manufacturing process, you need to keep that running up till you reach your peak productivity, and then you let it run and run and run and run, so you can produce a lot more. Meaningful impact not only to the cost, because we were producing a lot more per hour, but also to the capacity of our plants. With that, we were not able only to increase and reduce the cost and increase the production capacity, but we were able, with that, a little bit of CapEx, to really define our optimal production level. And we decided that we could produce as much as twice the volume that we were producing before per plant. And what happened with that inventory, higher inventory, better productivity, reduction in the long tail, and a little bit of CapEx, we were able to produce. It didn't happen overnight, but in a couple of years, we were able to produce twice as many dolls or toys in one single plant. What happened? Suddenly, we don't need half of the plants. And we were closing plants every year since 2019, and still producing more every year. The cost impact was significantly, particularly in variable cost. In the fixed cost. So the fixed cost optimization plus the variable cost optimization, not material, but the rest of the variable cost, had a sizable reduction. And then, of course, O&O. What do I want to keep in my plants? In our case, our O&O, as probably is your case, are more efficient. They have lower costs than if we go to a co-manufacturer. But there are products that I know are going to be here every year. I want to do those, but I want to have my plants completely full the entire year. So what I do with co-manufacturers is the things that are really variable, for example, a movie. We know that we're going to get a lot of volume this year. We have Toy Story this year. It's going to be a higher volume, and it's going to be much lower next year. That always happens. I don't want to do that myself because I'm going to have unutilized capacity next year. So even if it's more expensive, which it is, I go outside and I turn with a little bit of extra cost. We were able to change fixed cost to variable cost. And that's a beauty because we can produce this year and the next year we would not have that. We have our balance. It changed from category to category, but call it we have between 50 and 60% in-house and about 40% in external vendors, which are a strategic partner. As you were talking, exactly right. We work together with them and we develop together technology, processes, and also we do cost-cutting efforts jointly. So this was the setup that we did differently. It was not about changing the whole system. It's about remapping, making sure each of the area work together with the other in a very clean and very visible service level agreement so we can understand the issues. And then, of course, moving to reset our whole manufacturing. When you see that, it's not such a big change, but it triggers a lot of extra capacity and a lot of savings. And that gives us, even since the first year, meaningful savings, hundreds of millions of dollars. These are savings that we have done in our cost reduction program that are SEC reported and qualified. But on top of those, there were many others that were not compliant with the long-term or catalog as a long-term saving, but still was a lot more than that. That alone helped our gross margin to go from 39.8 to close to our 50% margin target. And that alone gave enough resources to the company to really fuel our reinvention in our brands. So we were the key strategic partners that by working on the setup, we were able to generate the right resources and give a long time for the people to really restructure our brands and go one by one at the beginning because of the investment, and then do several at the same time. So this is going to be an exciting year. You will see some of the movies, you will see some of the releases, and we will have the strategy firing in all cylinders. And we'll see at the end of 26, we will be, I think, able to judge both the commercial and the supply chain strategy for the company. Quick thing, part of what we need to do to be successful, in my humble opinion, after 35 years of doing that, is just a few things that I want to share with you that I have learned. First, and it's the most important principle that I use in my daily work, business is the boss. We try and we argue. If you're going to have a healthy culture, you will have to argue. And you will have to fight about what is the correct thing. The only thing you need to make sure everybody understands is that you're not trying to win a discussion. You're not trying to be right. You're trying to find the truth. And the truth is what is best for the business. And you need to truly believe that if you do the best for the business, you will get promoted and you will get advanced. So you want for people not to follow your ideas, but to really tell you your ideas and jointly find what is the best option for the business. It's usually not one people idea. It's usually a combination of several people ideas. But the most important piece is, it's not about you. It's not about someone else. It's about what is best for the business, and be humble enough to understand that not all your ideas would be the best, but you will actually follow whatever is the best. If that comes from the people that came one day, had been one day in the company, great. And you need to make a big deal, because even people that have been here, that are junior, that have been here for only one day, they can get ideas that can get implemented, and people feel really good about that. The second one, don't delegate complexity. This is our role. We're not here to talk only about the 2035 strategy. Of course, many of us need to do that. But on top of that, you need to be in the day-to-day. When you let people see that you're working as hard as they do, and that you don't ask them to do things that you would not do, then people respect you and actually follow you and align to your ideas. Take bad news well. That is equally important. The only way I can know which are the things that need to be fixed is if people tell me. If I react bad, as we said, don't kill the messenger. If I react bad to bad news, people will learn really easy, and the next time, they will not tell me. The only way that I know that I can learn what needs to be fixed is having people telling me and taking news in a good way. So sometimes you want to react. You need to breathe, you need to take it in, and you need to be smiling when they tell you. Be fair with people. People can take anything. We're adults. People know what you're doing. People know what is happening. If you tell them the truth, they will follow. If you don't tell them the truth, people will know regardless and will not respect you. The last one, lead execution. Be there, be present, show up. Be every day, be the first at the office, be the last at the office. If you want to be the leader, then the standard for you is higher than for anyone else. And if you don't want to, that's great, don't be. But if you want a leadership position, you need to show people that you are able and willing to do the extra effort and work really hard every day. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you very much for the time and for the opportunity, and thank you.
So we have time for some questions. Yes, you're fast. With the microphones.
Hi, Michelle Perez. First of all, thank you very much. It was a great lecture, and for sharing your personal lesson learned. That's really of high value to me, so thank you very much. One question, did you leverage the revigorization and the refueling that you had for example, for Barbie, that got such a good response from the customer, but also to try to grow the system capabilities of the other key players from the supply chain based on the pride for manufacturing, designing the product? And if you did, there was like a strategy for that?
For redoing the product itself and simplifying?
Like, there was like a lot of campaign and a lot of refueling for the product, and that was based on impacting the customer, which you did, but also did you leverage that revigorization to the inside of the company to also refuel the pride for building the product, manufacturing, designing it, and to grow the system capabilities that are such a key factor for the entire supply chain? And if you did, was there a strategy for that?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to inherit a system that really worked well in all of their parts. If you have a plant that doesn't work, if you have an innovating machine that doesn't work, then it takes 5, 6, 7, 10 years to really redo that. We have one plant in Mexico that was not working well. Now it's working pretty good, not as good as our Asian manufacturing, but they are coming pretty close. But it took 7 years and the right leader to really turn that around. So I was very lucky to inherit a system that was able to develop and produce in a very capable way. It was the connections and the decisions of the setup what I really changed. So our ability was, or our magic on doing product was already there. We changed a lot of different products to really be modernized and be more aligned to our mission. However, that capability was already there. So I didn't have to do anything else. It was more about setup, about efficiencies, and about really driving that Ferrari, connecting it, and driving at a high speed rather than having to work from scratch. It was already, a lot was already done, which sometimes you need to start from scratch and having to do some even more basic stuff. I was lucky enough that each of the leaders in each of the segments were pretty strong.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. Thanks for the lecture. It might be a wrong assumption from my side, but I want to understand, feels like all the repurpose of the brands that you showed was to actually aim the same customer you guys have in the past, right? But now they have money to buy and bring the memories back, and from that, you get their children with it. Mm-hmm. Does that change the supply chain strategy as well? Because instead hitting the children, you're going after the parents. Does that change the whole strategy for supply chain?
I don't think that changed the strategy, but again, it did change the product mix. We made very different product with very different characteristics that in sometimes was very complex. So the strategy was the same, and our first mission when you need a turnaround is to generate those savings to fuel your commercial strategy. So I would say, I think the same thing. I was lucky enough to have the machine that was able to take in that complexity, redesign the process, and really produce that at mass with high quality. My mission was to connect the different dots in the different areas with clear service level agreements and remapping, and then using that to reset the way we were working, and I make the changes like more inventory to do higher runs. That will bring the efficiency. But I didn't have to do, yes, it changed a lot, but I was, again, lucky enough to do that. I'm a generalist. I am not a specialist. I am more of a person that, my previous role was managing a region from the business side. So what I do is connecting the dots. If we need a technical revamp where people are not able to deliver the complex product that we have to do, same as in, it's very similar in many ways to cosmetics. A lot of SKUs, very different product, changing all the time. It's about fashion. If I have inherited an issue that is more on the technical side and how do we develop, maybe I would not be the right leader. You need to have the right leadership skills to really adapt to the right problem that you have. In my case, was a general problem, so a generalist makes sense. Maybe the next time, or my successor, maybe we have an issue that is more technical, maybe their skills will have to be different. So I was lucky enough, or they select me that because I have the commercial experience and more a generalist. So no, I didn't have to fix that. That was already great.
Time.
Yep.
I'm just going to say one thing, Roberto. Apart from the fact that was a fabulous performance, right? I hope you're all taking away something that Roberto's being very modest about, which is he solved the complexity problem and changed the way they run the supply chain. And there are very few examples of supply chain leaders managing to partner in that way, solve the complexity and change the way the whole machine runs. And I'm sure there are a lot of people going to be queuing up outside here saying, how on earth did you manage to make that happen? Because we all suffer from too much complexity, and to make that happen is very impressive. Well done, thank you.
Peter, thank you, and I think I inherited some great organization from you. And thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.